My name is Tomoko Sempo Yanagi. I'm a professor of Ikenobo School of Ikebana, president of Ikenobo UK and Ireland Study Group. Today, I'd like to introduce a little bit of history of Ikebana, and later on, I'd like to give some tips how to create Ikebana at home. Ikebana was officially established 550 years ago in Kyoto. But before that, we actually admire flower and made some display at home or temple and shrine. I'd like you to actually enjoy spiritual connection to flowers as well as aesthetic enjoyment of Ikebana today. 550 years ago, Ikebana was called Rikka, literally like this form. Although quite modern materials are used today, I follow the same steps that our professor of Ikenobo created Ikebana Rikka 550 years ago. It is fairly complicated arrangement because it was only for emperors and very highly ranked individuals to admire at their mansion house or palace, or maybe flower exhibition often held at the emperor's house. As Rikka was very complicated, Rikka was only admired and also practiced by a limited number of people. For the first 200 to 300 years of Ikebana history, Ikenobo family or the discipline was only actually practicing Rikka. As capital moved from Kyoto to Tokyo, we gradually admire simplified form of Ikebana, and then the Shoka style over there was created. Later on, we further simplified the form of Ikebana, and then Moribana style over there was created. We particularly admire 3-time tense, meaning past, present, and future. Now we are in September, summer is fading, and the autumn is already around us. So I used some flowers who are slightly faded or colored to actually reflect what's happened this year or to give you some past memory in your life. And equally, opened or bloomed flowers are used. Now opened or currently blooming means opened flowers are your present condition. And naturally, everybody would like to look for your future. So to express your future intention, we always use some really small buds or not opened flowers like that. So present and past and future always give some basics of natural form of Ikebana. Additionally, Ikebanas are quite complementary among the materials applied in the arrangement. Unlike Western style of arrangement, each material has its own functions. In order to give certain functions, we tend to actually change the height or change the angle or change the volume so that the tall flowers obviously just show the length, maybe from the top look down the ground, but the smaller flowers or the short flowers like this often give some connectivity to the containers here. Quite importantly, containers and even water in the containers plays a very important role in Ikebana. Containers like this or like that, or possibly like this one. You have variety of choices, but all of them obviously give some feeling to the entire arrangement. In terms of water, we typically actually show the surface of the water because everything comes out from the water. Water is indispensable for our lives. Again, unlike many typical Western arrangements, we do not hide the water surface, rather deliberately show that this nice surface of the water, we call it mizugiwa. After Moribana, the last one, was formed, Ikebana became more freely arranged by a variety of individuals, and even a lot of other schools are creating their own style of Ikebanas. But today, I'd like to particularly emphasize the history of Ikebana, starting from Rikka, like this, and then change to more simplified style of Ikebana called Shoka over there, and then Moribana over there. Is more recent tradition of the natural style of Ikebana. This is widely practiced by Ikenobo school students and also other schools as well. After this session, I'd like to introduce how to arrange Ikebana at home using materials easily available at your house or gardens or even grocery store. So for this, I would like to introduce how to arrange Moribana like this, and also more freely arranged Ikebana called Freestyles as well. Let's actually just look into Moribana. Surprise, you can actually arrange at home quite easily. I have Ikebana scissors, you don't need to have this. But for Moribana, ideally, I'd like you to have pin folder. So put the pin folder in the center of containers, or even actually not in the center. You need two types of materials, ideally three, but two could actually work. So like this, green leaves and also flowers. And the third element could be more assisting materials. Moribana is very easy. 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. In Japanese, we call shin, soe, tai. Actually, they have a quite important meaning. Shin means truth in the Japanese character. Tallest, maybe most significant materials. So it's quite important to choose tall, clean materials. Soe is a supporter, and tai gives some body and also contrast to the arrangement. So I have crocosmia leaves, which is, I think, quite easily available in somebody's garden. So I just cut like this. No particular height indications, but typically like this size rather than that size. But if you want to have a small arrangement, you could keep it shorter. So shin is like this. So I will use another crocosmia leaves as soe. This one has 2 leaves from one stem. From your side, my side, I think maybe same, but effectively, shin is like here, soe is like there, and in terms of height indication, if the shin is 1, soe is 2/3 of the shin, so that they have a quite distinct contrast between the two. And the last materials is tie, the number 3. Tie is the shortest, maybe the third of the length of shin. I would put sort of in front, imaginary, like this, but in the meantime, I will keep it to move over to flowers. Quite importantly, in Moribana, and even other Ikebana in Ikenobo style, we typically start with structures like this, using branches or leaves. Flowers, I have nice lysianthus, both buds and opened flowers as well. Like I did for Crocosmia leaves, I have tall one to kind of support with Crocosmia leaves, like this. And then slightly shorter one. Like this. So back to the third element, I would possibly still arrange the shortest leaves like this to give some dynamic three-dimensional images. And then I'd like to actually introduce the third materials. Again, this is actually just same Crocosmia plant, but used to be flowers, but now actually become seed like this. So give a little bit more sort of autumnal feeling. I would add like this. And like that. As a very finishing touch, I'd like to have one more lysianthus to give more depth. Simple Moribana is done. These are the freestyles. Unlike Moribana, they are more freely arranged. Key components of freestyles are points, lines, and surfaces out from all materials you use. So you don't need to follow 1, 2, 3 steps like I did for Moribana. You'd emphasize the nice lines like this and the cute little points like that. So combining interesting lines like this from actually just dead branches with beautiful pink roses could give also some contrast. You can use any sort of container, so you can possibly just do at home easily. Thank you.